Welcome back, basketball aficionados, diehard supporters of Gilas Pilipinas, and followers of the global hoops landscape. You are tuning into what is undeniably one of the most highly anticipated and monumental updates we have had the privilege of covering in recent Asian basketball history. We are not just talking about a simple roster update today. We are talking about a paradigm shift, a seismic event in the world of international hoops that has the entire governing body of basketball, FIBA, metaphorically raising a glass in celebration. Why? Because the Kaiju has returned. Sotto is back on the hardwood. And let me make this abundantly clear right out of the gate. He is not just back to jog up and down the court. He is absolutely dominating in a way that completely defies the typical cautious trajectory of a player returning from a devastating year-long ACL injury. Today, we are going to unpack a massive multi-layer development that has sent absolute shockwaves through the JapanBLeague, reverberated across the 7,000-plus islands of the Philippine archipelago, and caught the very keen, very watchful eye of FIBA officials across the globe. The news is official. The numbers are utterly staggering, and the implications for both a professional club, the Kaiju Alphas, and the Philippine national team, Gilas Pilipinas, are nothing short of extraordinary. The headline that has the entire basketball world buzzing, the notification that has been lighting up your phones and dominating sports forums today is this. FIBA raises a glass due to Sotto's phenomenal return, and add a massive, undeniable exclamation point to this triumphant comeback. Kai is currently ranking number 1 in 2 critical statistical categories in an immensely competitive JapanBLeague. Just sit with that for a moment and let the gravity of that statement sink in. We are talking about a 23-year-old center who carried the weight of a basketball-crazed nation on his shoulders since he was a teenager. A young man who endured the crushing physical and psychological blow of an anterior cruciate ligament tear, an injury that has famously derailed, and in some tragic cases, completely ended the careers of countless promising athletes. For an entire year, the basketball community held its collective breath. We watched the social media updates, the grueling rehabilitation videos, the slow, painful process of rebuilding a 7'3" frame from the ground up. There were the inevitable whispers, the doubts that naturally creep into the conversation when a big man suffers a major knee injury. Would he lose his mobility? Would that soft touch around the rim be compromised by a hesitance to absorb contact? Would he ever be the same Sotto who dazzled us during the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournaments? The same player who was arguably the most vital defensive anchor for Coach Tim Cohn's Gilas Pilipinas? The answer, delivered with the resounding authority of back-to-back double-doubles and historic milestones, is a definitive, unquestionable yes. He is not just the same. He looks evolved. He looks hungry. And FIBA knows exactly what this means. When we say FIBA is raising a glass, we are acknowledging the undeniable reality that international basketball is simply better, more compelling, and vastly more entertaining when its brightest young stars are healthy and performing at their peak. FIBA understands the magnetic draw of the Philippine fan base, a demographic that routinely shatters viewership records and digital engagement metrics. They know that a healthy Sotto elevates the entire Asian region's competitive ceiling. His return injects a massive dose of star power and high-stakes drama into the ongoing 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup Asian qualifiers. But let's pivot to the JapanBLeague, because what Kai is achieving over there right now, just weeks after being cleared for full-contact professional play, is the stuff of cinematic sports dramas. The B-League is no joke. It is a rugged, highly tactical, physically demanding league that features some of the best domestic talents in Asia alongside high-caliber, battle-tested international imports. To walk back onto that court after a year of inactivity and immediately assert dominance requires a level of mental fortitude and sheer basketball IQ that is rare to find. Yet here we are, looking at the statistical leaderboards, and the name Sotto is sitting right there at the very top, reigning supreme as the number 1 player in 2 distinct, highly impactful categories. This isn't just about scoring a few lucky baskets in garbage time. This is about fundamental, game-altering efficiency and defensive terror. This is about proving to the Kaiju Alphas organization that their incredible patience, their financial investment, and their unwavering belief in his recovery process were entirely justified. We will dive deeply into exactly what those 2 categories are, how he achieved this unprecedented feat, and what it means for his long-term prospects. But for now, I want you to grasp the sheer magnitude of this comeback narrative. We have so much ground to cover in today's deep dive. We will dissect the tape of his recent games, analyzing how his movement patterns have adapted post-surgery. We will look at his recent milestone of crashing into the elite 1,000-point club in the B-League, joining a very exclusive brotherhood of Filipino hoopers who have left their undeniable mark on Japanese soil. We will also address the massive elephant in the room, Gilas Pilipinas. We all saw what happened in the recent FIBA window. We saw the heartbreaking, narrowly contested 69-66 loss to the New Zealand Tall Blacks. We heard the opposing coach, Judd Flavel, openly admit that New Zealand took strategic advantage of Kai's absence, noting that Sotto's unique blend of size, length, and mobility gives the Philippines a completely different, much more lethal dynamic. The questions are swirling. When will he officially don the Gilas jersey again? How is his management team navigating the delicate balance between his national team duties, his commitments to the Kaiju Alphas, and the ever-present, lingering dream of securing an NBA contract? Is there friction behind the scenes? Or is this a masterclass in load management and long-term athletic preservation? Grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready, because we are leaving no stone unturned. This is the ultimate, comprehensive breakdown of the return of the Kaiju. The basketball world is watching. FIBA is celebrating, and the JapanBLeague is officially on notice. Let's get into the deep dive. Let us transition into the core of today's analysis, pulling back the curtain on the numbers, the context, and the raw reality of Kai Sotto's triumphant return to the hardwood. To truly appreciate the magnitude of him ranking number one in two distinct categories in the JapanBLeague, we have to rewind and examine the landscape he re-entered. When Kai stepped back onto the court for the Kaiju Alphas, he wasn't joining a team that was coasting at the top of the standings. The Alphas have had a turbulent season in the fiercely competitive B1 division. They were weathering losing streaks, struggling to find their interior identity, and desperately missing the 7'3" anchor they had heavily invested in. The Japanese basketball ecosystem is incredibly unforgiving. The pace is frenetic. The scouting is meticulous, and the physical toll on imports, who are expected to carry massive offensive and rebounding loads, is immense. For a player coming off a year-long ACL rehabilitation, the conventional wisdom dictates a strict minutes restriction. It dictates a slow, progressive reintegration where the player might shoot poorly, hesitate on defense, and struggle with the speed of the game. Kai Sotto took that conventional wisdom and threw it entirely out the window. Almost immediately upon his return, he began producing stat lines that made analysts double-check their box scores. We are talking about vintage pre-injury Kai, but with an added layer of veteran savvy and physical maturity. Let's talk about the specific categories where he is currently establishing undisputed dominance. When we look at the analytics for Asian quota players and overall interior specialists in a specific role, Kai Sotto has surged to the number one spot in two vital metrics: elite rim protection, specifically block percentage in contested shots altered per minute, and interior field goal efficiency. First, let's break down the defensive side of the floor. In the modern game of basketball, whether you're playing under FIBA rules in the NBA or in the B-League, the absolute most valuable commodity a defense can possess is a mobile rim protector. It is not just about the blocks you record on the stat sheet. It is about the geometry of the court. When Kai Sotto is anchoring the paint for Kaiju, the entire opposing offensive game plan has to be rewritten. Guards who would normally attack the basket with reckless abandon are suddenly putting on the brakes, opting for low-percentage floaters or kicking the ball out to the perimeter. By ranking number one in his class for block efficiency, Kai is proving that his timing, a trait that is notoriously difficult to regain after an extended layoff, is sharper than ever. He is not just relying on his massive wingspan. He is reading the pick and roll masterfully, anticipating the drop-offs, and rotating from the weak side with fluidity that completely belies his recent medical history. This defensive gravity is exactly what Gilas Pilipinas missed so dearly against New Zealand, where the Tall Blacks were able to crash the offensive glass and attack the paint with far less resistance. Now, let's pivot to the offensive side of his historic ranking. Interior field goal efficiency. Coming off a knee injury, players often struggle with their lift. They miss the easy bunnies around the rim because they don't have that explosive second jump, or they fade away from contact because they subconsciously want to protect their lower body. Kai Sotto has shown absolutely zero fear in the paint. He is catching the ball on the roll, gathering himself a profound balance, and finishing through contact at an incredibly high clip. He is shooting a phenomenally high percentage on his two-point attempts, securing that number one spot in efficiency ratings among his peers. Whether the soft jump hook over his left shoulder, a thunderous putback dunk, or a beautifully executed pick and pop, where he forces a defense to respect his mid-range touch, his offensive arsenal looks refined and incredibly polished. But this deep dive wouldn't be complete without discussing the monumental milestone he recently shattered. Amidst this incredible comeback, Kai Sotto officially joined the 1,000-point club in the JapanBLeague. He achieved this during a highly publicized, deeply emotional matchup against the Levenga Hokkaido, facing off against his Gilas Pilipinas brother, Dwight Ramos. In that specific game, Kai didn't just quietly score a layup to pass the mark. He erupted for a massive double-double, dropping 20 points, ripping down 14 rebounds, and anchoring the defense. He joins an elite, highly respected fraternity of Filipino athletes who have reached this milestone in Japan. Names like 30 and Kiefer Ravina, Ray Parks Jr., Matthew Wright, and Dwight Ramos himself. This 1,000-point milestone is far more than just a number on a Wikipedia page. It is a testament to his longevity, his adaptability, and his undeniable skill level in a foreign league. Think about the journey to those 1,000 points. It started with his initial stint with the Hiroshima Dragonflies, transitioning to the Yokohama B Corsairs, and now continuing with the Koshigaya Alphas. Through different coaching philosophies, different cities, and different offensive systems, Kai's ability to put the ball in the basket has remained a constant, undeniable force. Now, we must address the geopolitical basketball landscape, because you cannot talk about Kai Sotto without talking about the pride of the Philippines and the machinations of international basketball. FIBA raising a glass is a direct reaction to the massive sigh of relief breathed by the Samahang basketball in Pilipinas, the SBP, and Coach Tim Cone. The recent FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers window in February presented a very stark, very painful reminder of what Gilas looks like without its 7'3" linchpin. We played New Zealand, a tough, physical, incredibly disciplined tall black squad, while AJ Edu played his heart out, grabbing 11 rebounds and blocking 3 shots, and the newly added Quentin Miller-Brown provided much-needed depth. The absence of Kai Sotto was a glaring narrative of the night. New Zealand's coach, Judd Flavel, was remarkably candid in his post-game press conference. He openly admitted that Sotto's absence was visibly felt. He praised Kai's mobility and noted that he gives the Philippines an entirely different, vastly superior dynamic. In the previous matchup in late 2024, when Gilas secured a historic victory over New Zealand, Kai Sotto was the architect of that win, contributing a masterclass performance of 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. That is a version of Kai Sotto that FIBA is thrilled to see returning to form. However, this return has not been without its behind-the-scenes drama, which we need to analyze objectively. Rumors were swirling wildly just weeks ago that the Koshigaya Alphas were barring Kai from participating in the national team windows to protect their investment. These rumors caused an uproar among passionate Filipino fans. But recent reports have completely dispelled this narrative. It was revealed that the Koshigaya management was actually furious about being painted as the villains. They explicitly reached out to the SBP to confirm they were perfectly willing to let Kai play. The hesitation, it appears, came from his own management group, carefully weighing the risks of international play against a potential, highly coveted short-term NBA contract that might materialize. This is an incredibly complex tightrope that a global prospect like Kai Sotto must walk. He owes a debt of gratitude to the Koshigaya Alphas, who waited patiently for 18 months, funding his recovery and building their future around his presence. He owes his heart and his loyalty to the millions of Filipinos who wear his jersey and wake up at ungodly hours to stream his games. And he owes it to himself to protect his physical health, to finally achieve that ultimate, lifelong dream of stepping onto an NBA court. When you analyze his current dominance in the B-League, being number one in those key categories, bullying opposing centers, play with newfound physical edge, you realize that he is handling this immense pressure with incredible maturity. He is not letting the noise distract him. He is simply going to work. He is setting savage screens, rolling hard to the rim, communicating on defense, and executing the game plan. His trainer, his medical staff, and his coaches have engineered a miraculous physical comeback. But Kai himself is responsible for mental comeback, which is often the hardest part of an ACL recovery. As we look at the remainder of the B-League season, the Kaiju Alphas have a massive weapon at their disposal. Teams that previously exploited the paint against them are now running into a 7'3" brick wall. And as we look toward the horizon of the 2027 FIBA World Cup, the rest of the Asian region must realize that Gilas Pilipinas is about to reintegrate a fully healthy, highly motivated, and historically efficient Kai Sotto back into a lineup that is already proving it can fight with the best in the world. As we begin to wrap up this extensive, deep dive into the triumphant return of Kai Sotto, it is crucial to take a step back and appreciate the grander narrative at play. We spend so much time obsessing over the minute details, the field goal percentages, the specific angle of the pick-and-roll coverage, the exact terminology of a knee rehabilitation protocol, that we sometimes lose sight of the human element. What we are witnessing is a story of profound resilience. Kai Sotto could have easily faded from the spotlight. When a player of his height suffers a devastating lower body injury, history is unfortunately littered with cautionary tales. The narrative could have easily shifted to what could have been. Instead, he endured the silent, unglamorous hours of physical therapy. He endured the pain, the isolation of being away from the game he loves, and the immense, suffocating weight of national expectations. To emerge from that dark tunnel and immediately assert himself as the number one player in two major statistical categories in the JapanBLeague is nothing short of heroic. It is a testament to an elite work ethic and an unbreakable spirit. For the Kaiju Alphas, their patience has been rewarded tenfold. They believe in the Kaiju, they invested in his recovery, and they are now reaping the benefits of having a transcendent, game-changing center anchoring their roster. For the JapanBLeague, his presence continues to elevate the league's global profile, driving engagement, viewership, and international intrigue. The 1,000-point milestone he just surpassed is merely a checkpoint in what promises to be a long and incredibly fruitful professional career. But perhaps the most profound impact of this return will be felt back home in the Philippines and on the international stage under the bright lights of FIBA competition. FIBA raising a glass is symbolic of the global basketball community recognizing that the game is simply better when its unicorns are running wild. The recent struggles of Gilas Pilipinas without him only serve to highlight exactly how irreplaceable his specific skill set is. You cannot teach 7'3". You cannot teach the innate basketball IQ required to drop a pinpoint pass in the high post, or the timing required to alter a shot at the apex of its trajectory. Coach Tim Cohn knows this. The Samahang basketball in Pilipinas knows this, and you can absolutely bet that the rest of the world knows this. As we look toward the incredibly packed international calendar of 2026 and the looming qualifiers for the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup, the narrative for Gilas Pilipinas has fundamentally shifted from one of cautious survival to one of aggressive contention. With a healthy Kai Sotto rejoining the likes of Dwight Ramos, Justin Brownlee, A.J. Edu, and the rising young stars of the Philippine program, the ceiling for this team is terrifyingly high. And finally, we must acknowledge the ultimate dream that still burns brightly in the background, the National Basketball Association. The scouts are always watching. They are looking at how he moves laterally post-injury. They are looking at his stamina, his physicality, and his ability to dominate professional, grown men in a highly structured league. By leading the B-League in crucial efficiency and defensive categories right out of the gate, Kai is sending a very loud, very clear message to every front office in the NBA. The dream is not deferred. It is simply undergoing a rigorous character-building detour. Thank you for joining me on this incredible, deep-dive journey into the return of Kai Sotto. We have broken down the stats, analyzed the international implications, and celebrated a truly inspiring comeback story. The landscape of Asian basketball has been officially put on notice. The Kaiju is back. He is better than ever, and he is ready to conquer.